All right, I gave you the mean to be 47, the deviation to be 3. I asked for the probability to be between 38 and 53. What I usually do for these is I will check to make sure, do these two numbers fall perfectly on a deviation mark? Okay, what that means is if the mean is 47, that's right here. The deviation is 3, so 3 above 47 is 50. 3 above that's 53. There we go, 53 falls perfectly on that deviation. Go the other direction, subtract 3, you get 44. Subtract 3 again, you get 41. Subtract 3 again, you get 38. 38 also falls perfectly on the deviation. So you want to find all of the percentages that fall in each of these sections between those two values. Well, this is 13.5, that's 34, 34, 13.5, and then 0.235, or 2.35. Add all those together and you get 97.35%. Convert that to a probability, 0.9735. Okay? So find the z-score, 31 minus 29, and then divide it by the standard deviation of 2.1. Now you have to make sure you put this in the calculator correctly. If you don't put parentheses around the top, you'll get a wrong answer. But I usually just do the top first. 31 minus 29 is 2. And then divide it by, I think I might have done this. I might have to come by and check these. Let me pause it real quick. So you'll do the 2 divided by 2.1, and it gets you this, okay, which is 0.95. Okay, that is your z-score. Now you want to make sure that you round that correctly, because if you don't, it's going to get you the wrong answer. Okay. Now once you go to your z-table, you're going to go to the positive side. You're going to find 0.95. There's the 0.9. Go over to the 5 column, which is right here, and it's 0.8289. That is your probability. Okay? So any questions with that one? Do the same thing you did in the last question. 27 minus 29 over 2.1. It's actually the same decimal you had last time. It's a negative. It's negative 0.95. When you go to your z-table and look for that number, it does get you 0.1711. That would be the answer if this was a less than. Okay, so if you got that, you're not completely wrong. You just need to finish the question. To get a greater than, you need to subtract that number from 1, and you get 0.8289, which I think is the same answer we got for the last one. Okay. So, find the first 4 terms. If you want to, you can do it by hand by plugging 1 in for the sequence. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 minus 4 is negative 1. Plug in 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 4 is 2. Plug in 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 minus 4 is 5. And then plug in 4. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. That's fine. If you want to do it in an easier way, go to your y equals, type in the equation. Go to your table of values. The first term is negative 1. Second term is 2. Third term is 5. Fourth term is 8. So I can ask you what the 10th term was. You just scroll down to 10, that would be 26. Okay? Alright, put the summation in, hit alpha window. It's the second one on the list. I use X's, you can use K's if you want to, just hit alpha on whatever K is, but X and then 3 to 9, and then just type in the equation. Whatever the equation happens to be, it gets you 196. So to check that it's arithmetic, you do 1 minus 3, which is negative 2. Negative 1 minus 1, which is negative 2, so on and so forth. These are all negative 2 when you subtract. So that is your difference. Your ace of 1 is 3. Those are the only 2 things you need to know to write this rule. Plug those 2 things into here and to there, and then produce your answer. So it's ace of 1, which is 3, plus n minus 1 times the difference of negative 2. I'm just using this formula. So to finish that out, distribute the negative 2 to the n of the negative 1, and then combine your like terms. That is your rule. And from that, I could ask you potentially, what's the 20th term? What's the 50th term? You just plug those numbers into n. Okay? So before you move, let's try this one because we're running out of time here. let's say that I had, let's say that I told you that the 10th term is negative 60, and that the difference is negative 5. Okay? And I said to write the rule. It's pretty obvious that it's arithmetic because I tell you the difference. I don't give you a ratio. So we're still going to be using the same formula. But we have to find out what a sub 1 is. That's our first thing we have to do. So we're going to plug in these three numbers into the right spots. A sub n is whatever the 10th term is, which is negative 60. We don't know what a sub 1 is. That's our unknown value. N is what term they give us. They give us the 10th term. And then the difference is negative 5. So we solve this. 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 times negative 5 is negative 45. Now I can solve for a sub 1, add 45 to both sides, and you wind up getting a sub 1 equal to negative 15. Now that's not the answer to the question. I want you to write the rule. Now it's just like the previous question. This is your a sub 1. This is your difference. Plug it into that same formula and reduce your answer. So it's going to be a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times the difference. Distribute your answer. Combine like terms and you get negative 5n minus 10. Okay. All right, we want to write a rule for this pattern. Figure out that it's geometric. 10 divided by 1 is 10. 100 divided by 10 is 10. And then so on and so forth. So my ratio is 10. My first term is 1. Those are the only two things you need. This formula will be given to you. This is easier than arithmetic because you don't have to do any simplifying. Okay, all you do is you plug a sub 1 in, which in this case is just 1, which you don't really need, but I'll put it. And then the ratio, which is 10, to the n minus 1. That is your answer. Okay, now you cannot multiply 1 and 10 together, although in this case it doesn't matter. If this is like a 2, you cannot multiply these two together. Leave them separated. And then just like before, from here I could ask you what the 5th term is, the 6th term is, and you can have your answers. Okay? Alright, then the next one I could give you may look like this. It may say a sub 2 is 15, and the ratio is 3. And to write a rule. Okay? Same thing. You have to know what your first term is, and then you have to know what the ratio is. We know the ratio. We don't know the first term. So we're going to use that formula right here to get our a sub 1. Our a sub n is the 15. Our a sub 1 is our unknown. The ratio is 3. And then the n, if they gave me the second term, my n is 2. Well, to solve this pretty easy. 2 minus 1 is 1. 3 to the first power is just 3. So I'm going to divide 3 to both sides. You get 5 equals a sub 1. And that kind of makes sense. If your second term is 15 and your ratio is 3, that means to get from term 1 to term 2, you had to multiply by 3. 5 times 3, that's what you get 15. Okay, so to write my rule, pretty simple. It's a sub 1, which I now know is 5, times my ratio to the n minus 1 power. Alright, so to find the infinite sum, you have to find, first off, what is a sub 1? So we're going to plug it into this formula. And then what is the ratio? Well, a sub 1 is pretty easy. It's the first term of your list, which is 1/3. The 1 minus is always there. You are always going to do this with geometric. That's the only type I can ever give you for this. So you know you're going to be checking division. 1/9 divided by 1/3 is what? Should get you 1/3. Same thing here. 1/27 divided by 1/9 is also 1/3. So my ratio is 1/3. So once you type this into your calculator, you can get your fraction bars. You all should be somewhat comfortable doing that. Type it into the calculator. Put it right where you can see it. And hit enter, and it's 1/2. So if you were to add every single term in this sequence together,